Welcome back to Rise Up. We're joined here by a very amazing brother who has joined the community recently. I'm going to make sure I say your name correctly. Kevin Collado. Is that correct? Right pronunciation?
It is correct.
All right, welcome
I'll go
to
one step
Rise
further.
Up.
Kevin Miro Collado.
Oh, full name.
Thank you.
You beat me there, Dr. Irfan. So
Yeah,
welcome to the show, Kevin.
A little competition is healthy. Kevin,
Yes.
sorry, carry on.
Mm.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Thank you for joining us. We're actually excited. We were talking about you earlier on the show as well. We were saying that we can't wait to interview you. And we were talking before we went live about the fact that you are the second believer from the Philippines to make it here to the community.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, I'm excited to be here. I remember watching the interview you guys had with Sister Reblin.
Yes.
Yes. And that just so happened to be right before my flight.
Right. It's
Yeah.
amazing. So close to the timeline. Isn't it
okay.
crazy? So, Kevin, I'm sure the viewers are wondering, so how did his journey begin? What was he believing in before? Let's start from the very beginning. How did you grow up? What does your family believe?
Well, I grew up in a Christian household. My
Catholic.
Catholic household. And for most of my life, I've been just going to church, spending time with family, going to different Christian gatherings. I went to Christian school. I went through these different rites at the church. It was around 2022 when I learned about Islam.
2022?
Yes.
Wow, how old were you then?
22.
You were 22.
22. And I met a friend who introduced me to Islamic values and Islam, and I found it really I found it to be the truth. I took my shahada around September 2022. I started performing salah, going to mosques, meeting different Muslims, and I came across the Mahdi Has Appeared YouTube channel around 2023. It was like a reel. I didn't think much of it. I guess I ignored it. But I think that's when I was first exposed to the YouTube channel. But it was in 2024 when I came across the Mahdi Has Appeared YouTube a video from the Mahdi Has Appeared YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And that's when I started watching the videos and looking into Abu Sadiq and things like that.
Okay, and was there a particular video, like this particular video that you saw? Do you remember which one it was? What was it about?
I don't remember, but I was really intrigued when I first saw that video. He was just talking about so many things that the scholars were talking about, plus many other things. He wasn't just speaking about the Quran, the hadiths. He was also speaking about, he was also mentioning sources from the Bible and the Torah. And he was putting things together. And I thought to myself, wow, he really knows the history of the prophets and messengers and basically and God's religion throughout time.
Yeah, so there's some very interesting transition periods in your journey, aren't there? The first one is going from being a Catholic, a Roman Catholic, to going to Islam. And how did that come about? Was it because you said that there was something that just drew you into it and you just felt that this was the right religion? You were a practicing Catholic, correct? And from your family background. What made that transition, that first jump that you made?
It's not like I was worshipping Isa alayhi salam as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My beliefs were that Isa alayhi salam was a prophet.
Okay.
And we worship one God, the one who created Isa alayhi salam.
So this is while you were Catholic?
Thing is, someone came up to me and told me that, hey, Catholics worship Isa alayhi salam as God. What do you think about that?
Is that college while you're studying or
Yeah.
school? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay.
And so I was like, hold on, I know I was a Catholic, but I never really saw Isa alayhi salam as the absolute God.
Interesting.
Okay.
So I had this discussion with a close friend of mine, and we were just going over the beliefs in Islam and the beliefs in Christianity, and I saw the similarities, and I agree that Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, his family, is a prophet. I don't really have any problem with recognizing
Right.
the prophet as the final prophet of God. He told me to check out the Quran. I listened to the Quran, I read it, and I somehow I just recognize it to be truly from God. I don't have much of a problem with accepting it to be the truth.
What was it like reading about the chapter on Mary, Surah Al-Maryam, in the Quran when you came across that as a Christian?
Oh, I cried. I definitely cried when I heard it. I thought it's beautiful how Allah, God gave us the Quran in such a way that it's easy to memorize. It rhymes. It's at some points, at some
It
parts.
does, yeah. It's lyrical.
Yeah, it's truly majestic.
Yeah. And to see, so you saw it because of the acknowledgement in the Islamic religion of Jesus or Isa alayhi salam. You saw that connection, and did you see Islam as a natural continuation of Christianity?
Natural continuation, I guess you could say that. I was actually interested in mysticism. I found this I had this quite a journey of synchronicities, and I think and I found Islam to be a very mystical religion, and that's what really captivated me.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, there is a lot of mystical aspect to the teachings sometimes, or to the writings, many narrations. There's a lot of gnosis going on. But so this is not very mainstream though. This is more like the ahadith of maybe the Shia, like Imam Jafar Sadiq, Haftul Sharif. Is that maybe what you're referring to more?
Yeah, when I was learning about Islam, I was like, what is this mysticism like in Islam?
Mm-hmm.
Like how is it that someone could believe in one God and experience these mystical things?
So was it more aligned with Sunni Islam? Because in Sunni Islam, it's more Sufism and Tasawwuf, as they say. And then you have Shia Islam, which more talks about the esoteric narrations of the Imams of the Ahl Bayt. Which is called Irfan, by the way. So that's what I thought.
Has your name?
So were you like following the Sunni way in the beginning?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
yes.
because that's the majority religion, of course. And
Yes.
and so you gravitated towards Sufi teachings. Were you reading anybody in particular at this time?
Sufi teachings, I didn't look into Sufi teachings, to be honest.
Which mystical, esoteric teachings sort of grabbed your attention within the Islamic religion?
I think more of the esoteric teachings of the Ahl Bayt al-Islam. That's when I eventually,
okay.
yeah.
So when you came introduced through as a Sunni Muslim, and then you actually gravitated towards the mystical parts of the Ahlul Bayt.
Peace be upon them.
Peace be
Yes.
upon them.
That's interesting. Very interesting. And so this is like pre the Mahdi has appeared channel discovery, right? You're on your way there.
Yes.
Okay, and then you come across Abu Sadiq's video and you say to yourself, this is very fascinating because this man is putting together different scriptures and how is he speaking about these different books. I think that's really interesting because usually what we receive from Muslims is some Muslims feel indignant when they hear him quoting the Bible or the Torah. They say, why is he quoting the Bible? The Bible is corrupt, you know? And he says, no, there's actually truth in all these books, but you found that appealing that he's using different books.
Yes, it shows to me that he's well aware of the other religions, that he's very well, at least educated, you know, and that he's read the scriptures, and he's methodical in his explanations.
Absolutely. And at this point you were in university, correct?
When I found the Mahdi Has Appeared YouTube channel, I was already graduated.
And what did you study?
I graduated. I studied psychology and sociology.
Okay, cool.
Very cool.
That is. No, I find it fascinating that it was such a quick progression because, you know, I also went to university and we had something called the Islamic Society, and they used to have these areas where they used to talk about the religion, give out pamphlets and leaflets and talk about Islam, and it was very much like, the 5 pillars and how we don't idol worship and how there's only one God and the Prophet Muhammad is the final messenger, and now let's hang out, let's have a curry, let's enjoy life.
We're just together in the end.
Yeah, we're together, we're chill. But that wasn't enough for you, was it? So I'm really curious to know how you went from taking the Shahada, becoming a Muslim, and then gravitating towards the, as you put it, the Gnostic aspect of the Islamic religion? I mean, clearly you're naturally inclined to know about these deeper spiritual truths that get buried under the burden of jurisprudence and law and all these other apparent acts of worship. But how did you gravitate towards the hadith of the Ahlul Bayt? And what was it? Can you share with us a couple of these narrations that made a really big impact on you?
Well, I could definitely give you a story. I used to believe deeply, or I guess you could say I still do. I used to believe deeply in the teachings of Isa alayhi salam when I was a practicing Christian, and I used to wear a golden cross. And there was one day when I went to sleep with wearing a golden cross on my neck, and I woke up, and I couldn't find the cross. It disappeared.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was one day when my cross disappeared, and I was looking for it. I didn't know where it was. I looked all over the house. My mom helped me look for it. She couldn't find it.
Strange.
Oh, okay. So you were at home. It wasn't even at
Yeah,
the
I was.
dorms where you could finally. Yeah.
And that was the beginning of my journey of thinking about religion more often. Ironically, right? Because you would think that people often wear a golden cross or a cross under as like a necklace, but I mean nowadays people just wear it for
it's like a trend or whatever.
Yeah.
Fashion statement.
Absolutely.
But it was from that moment when I started searching for the truth. When I started becoming more religious, praying to God, that's when I started reading the Bible. And the more I read the Bible, the more I learned about the wisdoms of the prophets. I think it was if I remember correctly, it was in the Bible that tells readers to pray to God, seek guidance, work for God. And that's what I intended to do. That's what I've intended to do from that point forward. And as time progressed, the more people I've met, the more experiences I've had, I felt like God was bringing me closer to the truth.
That's beautiful.
And that's how I became close with Muslims, people who taught me the religion of Islam. And subhanAllah, like, I've been guided to the truth.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. I think it shows you were open. You were asking God, okay, where do I go next, kind of thing, and He sort of gave you cues and He led you somewhere.
Yeah, no, this disappearing of the cross I find fascinating.
What is that?
Because all these different interpretations are going through my head, and of course I'm not going to interpret something that happened to you, but this is something that is definitely worthy of more contemplation, because losing something sent you on a search to find something to replace that which you lost.
Dr. Fan says things very well.
And you didn't know where it went. It just disappeared. It wasn't like in a dream you had a crucifix on that was golden. You physically had a crucifix on your chest while you were asleep, and it was something precious to you. But then you wake up and it just disappears and no one knows where it is. Something removed it from you. And that was the beginning of your journey.
Yes.
Amazing.
It definitely made me think of reasons for why things happen.
Yeah.
The purpose behind life.
That's amazing. I think that the fact that you were open from that point forward to look for something, and the fact that you kind of link it to it's a mystery, right? We don't know what happened to it, and you're open to understanding how it happened. You're not trying to pretend it didn't happen. You know, you're looking for the answers, and it's led you to finding the Imam of the time. I think that's very, very symbolic. So let's ask you about that. You find out about the call, you start researching it, and something in your heart tells you, okay, this is the truth.
Okay, so flash forward again to when I found the call. After doing some research, I went to sleep, and I woke up from this powerful dream I had. I woke up and I felt this force come down upon me, like it felt like something struck my soul, And I woke up and I was saying, "He's here," and I screamed and I was crying.
Wow,
It was
that's intense.
What
Yeah.
descended on your soul? You said forest?
Force.
Oh, force.
force. Yeah.
Okay. This is a
And
separate dream now.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
off
a-
this channel after
Got it,
finding the
got it.
Mahdi has appeared.
Understood.
yes. And even if I didn't really understand the foundations of the call, I felt like this is something that this is a journey that I need to be on. I pledged my allegiance soon after, and I made it a commitment to keep researching and put the pieces together so that the foundations of the call made sense to me.
Wow. So you lost the crucifix and you found the crucified one.
You're on a roll today, Doctor.
I mean, that's it, right?
That's
what
amazing.
you just said yourself.
Wow.
And
Subhanallah.
this is obviously Abu Sadiq. He is the lookalike who bore the cross, who carried it, and who was crucified. And so you just said, I found him. That was it.
He's here.
He's here.
He's
here.
here.
Okay,
He is here.
good. Wow.
Very interesting. And that, I guess, led you to continuing your research into the religion, reading The Goal of the Wise, which in and of itself is an experience, right? That incredible book. But something happened to make you say to yourself, hey, I need to dedicate everything I have to actually going there and being part of the community.
Mhm.
That's a big decision. We've got believers worldwide who believe in this call, but they continue living their lives, right?
Yes.
They're doing their studies, they're working, they're with they're in their hometowns, you know,
Right.
where they found the religion. But then there are those few who say, I need to leave home and make a new home where the imam of the time is. And you're one of those few people. So what is it that said that made you say that? That made you say that to yourself?
When I found out that Abu Sadiq did more than just the Mahdi Has Appeared YouTube channel, like he's doing more than the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
He produced the series The Arrivals,
Correct.
and he also produced the Antichrist Dajjal series. When I learned about that, I said to myself, "Wow, like he's doing something that's deep. He's doing something that's really getting to the core of evil in society." And I wanted to be a part of it.
He's the tree that keeps producing the good fruit. And since the very beginning, well before, like you said, he became a Mahdi, he was waking people up,
Yes.
wasn't he?
That's
From
the
very
goal,
beginning
isn't
of
it?
his journey. That was who he was as a person. What about the call really hit home with you? And obviously you had this dream and you were saying he's here. And you believed in the Mahdi. I assume that when you became Muslim, you became familiar with the idea that in Islam there is the promise of the coming of an individual who ushers in an era of peace where there was chaos and darkness. In Christianity, that belief very much exists. But when did you become aware of the idea that in Islam there is a character called the Mahdi who succeeds the Prophet Muhammad and establishes justice on earth? When did that hit you?
I'd say that was when I learned more of Shia Islam, when I spent more time with the Shia community. I think the Shia community they speak more of the Mahdi more often than
without a
Yeah.
than the
shadow
Sunni
of a doubt.
community. Yeah.
That's true.
I had this, there was this brother who introduced me to download this app.
Okay.
And it was an app of du'as.
Duas.org?
No, I think it was Divine Pearls. It's called Divine Pearls.
Okay.
It includes du'as from the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them. And I noticed that there are du'as for Muhammad al-Mahdi alayhi salam. I performed one of those du'as, and I believe it was that du'a that has led
That
to
opened the doors for
that
you.
opened the doors for me. Yeah.
Dua Ahad that you recite after Fajr? Is that
I don't know what it was called.
Yeah, you recited it just continuously every day. How long? What?
I think it was just one time. I think.
just the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's it. One sincere prayer
It really is about
hits
that.
the target, right? And this is what happened to you. And you presumably, the Shia community that you were with, they were telling you that there is an Imam Mahdi, and that he is going to be the savior, the one who returns to create justice on earth. And then you were like, all right, let me download this app and find the dua that gets me to the Mahdi.
I think I downloaded the app first.
Okay.
I downloaded the app and then I found that dua, and then that's when I recited it.
Now, I guess, like you said, Dr. Irfan, that's what led you to this point, isn't it? Because these are those sincere practices and tasks and intentions that we have that lead us to finding the truth ultimately. You decided to come to the community. You've now entered it. You were greeted in the Holy Basilica by Abba Sadiq and the community. Tell us about that. How was it for you to see Abba Sadiq for the first time?
I think words cannot explain. I can't. You can give me an entire lifetime to describe what went on, but I still can't describe it truly. But it was wonderful. It was an honor to have met Abu Sadiq, and to meet the other believers, and to know that I have met prophets and messengers who have returned in this time and age to bring victory to Abu Sadiq. I think that's a very meaningful thing.
It is a powerful experience. We've seen so many reactions that we'll, I guess, treasure for a very long time, Alia. When people who have sincere and true faith, they're able to perceive the reality of Abu Sadiq according to the measure of faith that they have.
Exactly.
And for those people who have really thought about who he is and what he represents, they have that taste of the Spirit of God, which we believe that he is a vessel of. And it is an overwhelming experience. And it's something that none of us will ever forget. Alia had been with Abu Sadiq before he declared himself as the Mahdi according to the will of the Prophet Muhammad, which is of course a key document. I want to get your opinion on that as well. I met Abu Sadiq. I knew Abu Sadiq from before, but I met him in Germany for the first time ever, and this is when he was already declared as a Mahdi. So it was an overwhelming experience. You have to control your emotions a little bit, and you have to be sort of, straight and professional and all that stuff, and you want to give a good impression. But it is. But now I imagine in your shoes, because in this phase,
it's very different now.
It's very different now. I can't even imagine what I would do if I came now, because here in the UK phase, Abu Sadiq has sat in front of the camera. He has done so many shows. He's spoken. He's written books. He's come out speaking in the Basilica, delivering sermons and speeches like Imam Ahmad al-Hassan did before him. And now it must be like meeting Imam Ahmad al-Hassan for the new believers who come in, because Abu Sadiq has occupied that position.
Exactly, yes.
So I can completely jive with what you're saying. It is an overwhelming experience, and it's a very enlightening experience, isn't it? And you just feel this pull, this attraction towards the light that he is, and you want to stay there, and you don't want to leave, right?
Yes.
That's pretty much it in a nutshell. So the name Abdullah and the will of the Prophet Muhammad, which is the centerpiece of this call, really, which is why we're essentially all here. When did you first become aware of that, and when did you realize the importance of the written will of the Holy Prophet Muhammad?
It was when I was looking into the website. I was like, there's a will, and it mentions the names of the successors of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, his family. Why haven't the Sunni and the Shia talked about this?
Yeah.
I've never heard anything like it.
Yeah.
It was new. It felt like it was fabricated. But if the Quran tells us to write a will before we pass away, then where is the will of our Prophet?
Yeah.
It makes sense, because without a will, then Abu Bakr and Omar, God's curse be upon them,
Yes.
then they have done something that the Prophet hadn't done.
Exactly.
If anything, it would have been bid'ah
Oh yeah.
for Abu Bakr to have written a will
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
to appoint Omar as a successor. And what happened with that?
Yeah.
What's with that?
Did you take this will to the Shia scholars, the 12 Shias, that when you are now a member of the community? Did you ask them about this document?
I think if I remember, I think I did. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to look back.
Because they're very silent on it, right? Because now this document is the thing that gives them justification for them following the 12 Imams of the
Yeah.
Ahlul Bayt, and they're absolutely right to do so. They were appointed by the Prophet in a written will. But I did this. I actually took this will and I said, what is this? Like, tell me about this.
With the Sunni Muslims? Or
No,
Shia?
Shia Muslims.
Shias.
Shia Muslims. They didn't want to know anything about it. They're like, look, it's the will, the 12 Imams, Imam Mahdi's it. After him, there's nothing really coming.
It's right there that
I
there's
said, what
12
about the Rajah of the
Mahdis.
Imams? And they just get uncomfortable and
Yeah.
defensive, and then they want to change the subject. But yeah, this is why I asked, because this is the basis of the 12 Shia faith, isn't it? The will of the Prophet Muhammad, the 12 Imams.
Well, they don't mention the will.
They don't mention it.
It's about Karbala,
Yeah.
and I mean, yes, it's about Karbala, but Shias don't. I think most of the Shia community, they don't understand the full picture or the true picture.
Absolutely, they don't. It's about rituals mainly at the moment in the Shia 12 world. It's about like a public image or a social kind of norm that they've created, a lifestyle. But the essence and the legacy of the of Muhammad and the family of Muhammad, it's very, very much missing now. It is very much missing.
But you see, the dawah has become very big.
Yeah.
It's a global name now. There are mainstream channels that are talking about
Absolutely.
the call. It's huge. The number of views that happened after the death of the Pope, it's gone into the next stratosphere, the next dimension. So now, even despite that, not a single Shia scholar that I know of, Ali,
Yeah.
maybe you know something in the Urdu-speaking world or the English-speaking world, the two languages I understand and speak, have I seen a scholar come forward and give a sermon on the will of the Prophet Muhammad, based on the fact that there is a dawah that is claiming that they have the Mahdi with them.
Great point.
No one has brought this up
Very
as
silent.
a subject. Not a single lecture on the written will in Bihar al-Anwar and Ghaibat al-Tusi has any scholar said, let's examine this will and let's see what is the fundamental basis for our belief that there were 12 Imams after the Prophet Muhammad. You see, because it is a damning piece of evidence against the scholars, the non-working scholars, the corrupt scholars who are misguiding people. And like you said, let's focus on Karbala. Look what a tragedy it was that day when the people betrayed Imam Hussein. Oh, do you mean people like you? You know, the non-working scholars.
Exactly.
But they don't want to talk about the will. And I find this astounding that they are saying that there is a fake call that is going on in England that is led by this guy who is Egyptian American. His name is Abdullah Hashim. He's saying he's the Mahdi, but they don't say he's claiming the will of the Prophet Muhammad. They're not talking about the will because the will is the axe that ends the entire
Yeah.
structure, doesn't it?
They don't want that will to be a subject. They
No.
really clearly don't. But look at that. So what you're saying is so true, Dr. Irfan. There are these individuals who are in the realm of religion, who are claiming to be authorities, and they don't want to discuss this key subject. And then you find this young man from the Philippines originally, but you grew up in the United States, who grew up Catholic and somehow finds the Imam of the time, embraces the will of Prophet Muhammad and says, I have to stand by this because it is the truth, and if I turn away from this, I'm going to be betraying God himself. And you actually did work, and Kevin did great work in America. You were part of the banner campaign. You were walking around in New York.
Yes.
Where was it again?
Yeah.
Times Square.
Times Square.
Who were
You were
you
walking
hanging
in
out with?
Times Square.
Tell us the names and give them a shout out.
Brother Tazim Islam
Yes.
and Brother Shaquille.
And you three were walking through Times Square. You went in front of a very important building as well. Which one was that?
We went to different buildings.
You went to
but
different places and
Yeah.
sites, and you were holding those big banners that said the Mahdi has appeared. That was really, really awesome. And they actually got the attention of some influencers in India, believe it or not, who used the footage of you guys and actually said, oh my goodness, they're saying the Mahdi has appeared, etc. And they were commenting on it. So that's what happens. This is
Yeah.
how the dawah works and
Yes.
spreads. You know, people are expressing their faith, and it's creating a conversation. So well done to you guys.
Yeah. No, it was truly amazing to hear your story. And, it began with a dream, just like Surah 12 in the Quran, the chapter of Joseph.
That's such a good name for a book. It began with a dream.
It began with a dream, right? And it was the losing of the crucifix. And then the second part, which I thought was equally important actually, is because in the dream, it seems that you are the one who is giving the glad tidings of the arrival of this figure, this character who was crucified, right? What did you say? You said he has arrived.
He's here.
He is
He's
here.
here.
So you're
This year.
delivering the news now. So it's great to have you on Rise Up and trying to fulfill that dream. And I'm sure that you're going to be a very important member of the team in really spreading the call, not only in the Philippines, but also in the country that you grew up in the United States.
And
yes,
Kevin,
I can't wait to work.
we can't wait to have you on board. And we wanted to know, because I know we've asked Kevin this before and he mentioned it, but I want you to mention it on camera. Were you watching Rise Up back home?
Yes, I was watching Rise Up back home. I used to wake up at 5 in the morning, just like how I used to wake up for Fajr Salah. And then I would watch the Rise Up show. Then I would go back to sleep. Then go wake up again to go to work.
Oh,
East Coast time.
Sweet.
East Coast time.
Wow, there you go. See, there are people who are watching Rise Up, and that makes everything worth it.
That makes it worth it. Absolutely. Kevin, it was so great to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much,
having you,
guys.
Kevin. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for tuning in today. We'll see you guys again for another episode on Rise Up on Sunday. Tomorrow, Saturday.
Yes.
So we'll see you on Sunday, and take care. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.